everyone. Thanks to all of you who came to the foam rolling class at Delta Life Fitness. I hope you really enjoyed it. Again, I appreciate you coming out, and I hope that you were able to learn something about your body and hopefully some things that you can go home and take home and use on your own to help keep everything nice and relaxed, to prevent those sports injuries, keep your circulation going, and keep your muscles nice and loose. So today I'm just going to go through some of the exercises, some of the stretches that we did in that class, just so that again you have something to take home with you and to reference anytime you're looking to repeat some of those exercises. So as you know, you're going to need a foam roller. So I just have the shorter one. We talked about in class that you can have the longer ones as well. Either one of those will work fine. Whatever you have available to you should work for all of the stretches that we're going to do. So just as we did in class, we're going to go through some of the different types of conditions that are common for people who are active and fit. And if you have any questions for follow-up, please go ahead and send me an email or call the office, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. All right, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So remember to stretch before you start foam rolling, or do some sort of an activity to warm up your muscles, whether that's some exercise at the gym or again, just some basic active stretches in order to get your muscles warmed up. In order, again, to prevent injury, we definitely don't want to foam roll across cold muscles. So make sure that you're doing some sort of an activity beforehand. So what we're going to do, we're going to skip the warm-up that we did in class, and we're going to jump right into it. So the first set of muscles that we're going to look at are muscles that are going to be compromised or implicated in IT band syndrome. So your IT band is a fibrous connective tissue band that runs down the sides of your leg. Again, we talked about in class, you don't want to roll directly on that IT band, but we definitely want to get the muscles around it so that we can loosen up any adhesions that have formed in that muscle. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start off by rolling on the vastus lateralis muscle. So that will be part of your quadriceps muscle group, kind of on the anterior and lateral or side aspect of your thigh. So I'm just going to go ahead and position my foam roller. I'm going to go ahead and place it right underneath my hips. Remember, we don't want to put it on any type of bony contacts, so we don't want to put it directly on that hip bone. And then I'm just going to go ahead and position myself on top of it, extend my bottom leg out, put my top leg across the top, and go ahead and roll. So again, this is working that vastus lateralis and that back part of the hamstring as well. So here I'm tilting forward a little bit more. I'm kind of working more at the front of the leg, and then as I tilt backwards, twisting my toe, pointing it up the ceiling, I'm working more of the back of the leg. So here we're in the hamstrings, and then if we again twist our toe back down towards the earth, we're more in the quadriceps muscle. Okay? So again, roll through that on either side. Make sure that you're comfortable. Once you feel like you've reached the point where your muscles are nice and loose, nice and relaxed, you can go ahead and come off of it. And again, just throughout all of these exercises, if you feel like you've reached a point where your muscles are particularly sore, go ahead and spend some more time on those to get those loosened up. All right, so that was the vastus lateralis and the biceps femoris. Now we're going to work the adductors. So remember, this is where you take that foam roller, kind of place it in the center of your mat, and you just kind of straddle it. So the adductors are those muscles on the insides of your legs. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and work one side. So you want to again straddle the foam roller, place it in the center of your thigh, and then just go ahead and roll. So again, this is working the center of the thigh, the adductor muscles. So we just worked the outside of the thigh, so we want to make sure that we're working the inside as well. Again, you want to come all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. Okay, and then you can repeat that on the other side again. I'm going to go ahead and do this side. And I'm going through this a little bit quicker than we did in class. Again, this is just, the purpose of this is to serve as a guide. If you do want to follow this through like you're doing an exercise video, you're welcome to. Just pause the video at any point, and then you can resume it whenever you're ready to move on to the next stretch. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to work the gluteus medius muscle. So it's one of your glute muscles. You have three of those. You have gluteus maximus, medius, and minimus. So the gluteus medius muscle is located kind of in the middle of that groove. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and position ourselves on top of our foam rollers. So I'm going to have it perpendicular to my body. I'm just going to have a seat on it, put my legs out in front, and then I'm just going to roll back and forth on that foam roller. Okay? So I'm getting into both of those gluteal muscles on either side. And I'll go ahead and actually position myself to the side so that you can appreciate what I'm doing a little bit more. So I'm putting the foam roller on my side next to me. And again, I'm just kind of popping a squat on top of that foam roller and just rolling back and forth. Again, you want to avoid putting that any of the bony parts of your low back or of your hips directly onto the foam roller so that you're not creating any irritation on any parts of those bony prominences. Okay, and once you're happy with that, you can just kind of hop off of it, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next set of muscles. So we're going to look at piriformis syndrome. So for this set, we're going to again look at the gluteus medius and then also the piriformis muscle. So piriformis muscle, remember that's that tiny little muscle in your kind of gluteal area, deep to the gluteal muscles, and it basically overlies directly over the sciatic nerve, and so it can cause sciatica, it can cause hip pain, it can cause low back pain. So we're just going to show you how to roll that one out as well. Okay, so again, I'm going to position myself to the side here. I'm going to take that foam roller and place it right underneath my hips here. Pop myself up on top of the foam roller, and this time I'm going to cross my leg across. Okay, so now if my left leg is up on top of my right knee, I'm going to be working the left piriformis muscle. So I'm just going to tilt my hips to where that my left side of my bottom is on the foam roller, and then I'm just going to start rolling. So again, you should be able to feel that pretty easily. It should be pretty sore for most people in there because it is again right directly over that sciatic nerve. So just kind of give it a couple rolls, and again, when you're comfortable, you can switch. I'm going to go ahead and switch on this one because this one is really sore on me as well. And again, you just want to kind of tilt your knee down towards the earth and just roll across that muscle. You shouldn't be hitting any bony prominences, but it should feel pretty relaxed when you're done. Okay, and once you're happy with that, again, you can just hop off and we'll move on to the next exercise. Okay, so shin splints are pretty common in runners or people who maybe haven't been active for a very long time, and then they start to do some more physical activity. So for this one, we're going to work the lower parts of the leg since we just worked the upper parts, and see if we can't treat and prevent some of those shin splints from happening. Okay, so the first muscle group that we're going to work is the calf muscle group. So you have the gastrocnemius and soleus primarily that make up that huge muscle in the back of your leg. What you're going to do, place your leg directly on top of the foam roller and go ahead and pick your hips up and go ahead and roll. Now for this one again, if you want an advanced move and you want a little bit more pressure, just pick that other leg up. And you can again roll back and forth. Okay? So that is the advanced version. And you can see that I'm tilting my toes outward. I can tilt my toes inward to make sure that I'm working all of that calf muscle. Okay, and then once you're happy with that, go ahead and switch and work on the other side. We're going to go ahead and move on to the front part of the leg. So here you have your tibialis anterior. So all I need to do here is just flip to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to put my lower leg on top of that foam roller and do the same thing, except in the opposite direction. Okay, so again, I'm tilting my toes inward, tilting them outward. For this one, again, you want to remember to avoid directly in the center of that leg where your tibia bone, your lower leg bone is located. It can be pretty uncomfortable, again, to roll directly on those bony parts. So just go to the side, either side of that lower leg. I'm going to scoot up a little bit so I can make sure that I get the bottom part of that. Go all the way to the ankle. Okay? And when you're happy with that, you can go ahead and switch sides. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next exercise. yet. So the peroneus muscle is on the side of the leg. So just like we did the other 2 stretches, this time we're going to do basically the same thing except being on the side. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and place the foam roller down. I'm going to place my lower leg or my bottom leg on top of the foam roller. And kind of like we did with the sides of the upper part of the leg, I'm going to cross my top leg across the top, and then I'm just going to pop up. And then I can go ahead and roll through that muscle on the side of the leg. Okay? So make sure, again, you can tilt your toes upwards, you can tilt your toes downwards, depending on what part of that muscle you want to contact. And then, when you're happy, come off of it and switch sides. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next set. So the next set of exercises that we discussed in class was for lower cross syndrome. Remember, that's that shelf butt phenomenon, where you have those tight little muscles in the low back, the tight hip flexors, and then the weak glutes and abdominal muscles. So for this one, the first one we're going to start with is the whole quadriceps muscle group and the whole hamstring muscle group. So for this one, I'm going to be face down first to work on the quadriceps muscles. I'm just going to position that foam roller underneath my leg and just lean forward until my leg is contacting that foam roller. The other leg, I'm just going to kind of tilt out to the side and then roll. Okay, so for this one, notice we're rolling through that entire quadriceps muscle, all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. Okay, and instead of coming off of it this time, we're going to go ahead and move up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and work on that hip flexor, that iliopsoas muscle, to help stretch out right in the crease of that hip. So I'm just going to scoot back a little bit, and now I'm rolling right into the crease of that hip. Now, if you want to get a little bit deeper into this one, you can cock your leg out a little bit more, come down on your forearms, and that'll put a little bit more pressure. If you want even more pressure, you can lift that leg. Okay? So that'll put even more pressure on that hip flexor. Okay, when you're happy with that one, we can go ahead and move on to the hamstrings. Okay, so for the hamstrings, we're doing basically, again, exactly the same thing, except we're flipped. So we're going to go ahead and put our thigh on top of that foam roller. Go ahead and prop yourself up, and when you're ready, just go ahead and pop your hips up and roll. So again, you can tilt your toes inwards to get more of the inner part of the hamstrings, and then tilt them outwards to get more of the outer part of the hamstrings. Okay, and once you're happy with that, we'll go ahead and move to the next exercise. Okay, so for the next exercise, we're going to work on the quadratus lumborum muscle. It's a big muscle in your low back that connects from your hips all the way to the top of your ribs. So for this exercise, again, you don't want to roll on the center of the spine. You don't want to roll directly on the lower part of the ribs. Can kind of be uncomfortable as well. So we want to make sure that we're staying in that muscle part. Okay, so what you're going to do is come on your foam roller, kind of prop yourself up on your arms, and then go ahead and come up, tilting your hips either to one side or the other. Okay? So you should have, again, that foam roller positioned right in between those hips and ribs on one side of the spine. And then you can go ahead and roll. Okay? Now, if you want, I'm not going to do this because it's definitely too tender for me, but if you want to pick one arm up to put a little bit more pressure, you're welcome to do that if you feel like you need that. Don't think you'll need to pick up both arms, but if you like, and it's comfortable for you, you can do that as well. And then once you're comfortable with that side, go ahead and just tilt your knees to the other side. You might need to reposition the foam roller a little bit, and then go ahead and roll. Okay, again, once you're happy with that, just place your hips down and just pop up. Okay, so for the next set of exercises, we're going to kind of work our way up the back to work some of the muscles in our upper and mid back area. And also our latissimus dorsi muscle, which is that big, nice V-shaped muscle that you get on your back when you're doing your pull-ups. So we're going to go ahead and work through the muscles around the middle and top of the back first. What you want to do is go ahead and lean back on your foam roller, For this one, we're going to be a little bit higher, so we're going to be starting kind of close to the bottom of the ribs and moving all the way up to the top where the neck connects to the spine. Okay, so lean back on the foam roller, and then for this one, you can go ahead and give yourself a hug to kind of open up the rib cage a little bit more, tilt to one side, and then go ahead and roll. Okay, so this one should feel pretty good. Again, you don't want to be directly on the spine. You want to be to either side of the spine with this one. And then once you're happy with one side, go ahead and tilt to the other side, and then just roll. So this one I think feels like a nice little back massage. Okay, and once you're happy with that, just come off of it and pop back up. Okay, so for the next set of exercises, we're going to look at some muscles that are involved in upper cross syndrome, which is kind of like walking around with your neck hunched forward. So we're just going to be working out the trapezius muscle, some of the smaller muscles in the back, and hopefully getting some relief from a lot of that neck tension that we have built up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is place my foam roller down. I'm going to lay on my side and then just place that foam roller right at the junction where again my neck meets my back, and then I'm just going to roll back and forth on that foam roller. So instead of the foam roller rolling, if it'll stay where I want it to, I'm going to be the one rolling back and forth. So for this one, you can kind of again focus on some areas that are more sore than others, and just work with your body here. Okay? Once you're happy with that, you can pop on up and we can move on to the next set. So for the rhomboids, I like to position the foam roller in the opposite direction as we did for the rest of the back, and basically do the same kind of concept that we did for the top of the back muscles. So I'm going to come on top of the foam roller. Again, I want to make sure that I'm opening up the spine, picking up my hips, and then I'm just rolling that foam roller back and forth between my shoulder blade and my spine. So you want to make sure that most of the pressure is right in between your shoulder blade and the center of your spine, the center of your back. And the more pressure you want, the higher you can pick up your hips, and it'll put more pressure. And you don't have to roll a lot, you just kind of wiggle back and forth. Okay? Once you're happy with that, you can bring your hips down and move on to the next side. Okay, so for your pectoralis muscle, I think we actually may have skipped over this one in class unintentionally, but your pectoralis muscle is basically the muscles of your chest. So what we're going to do is come on top of the foam roller. I'm going to face you for this one, I think. I think it makes it a little bit easier, maybe. So what I'm going to do is come on top of the foam roller. Where the foam roller is basically going to go is right where my shoulder meets my arm there. I'm going to place it on top of the foam roller and then just roll back and forth. Okay, this one should feel pretty good as well. So you're just going to roll back and forth. And you want most of the contact to be at the front of the shoulder there. Again, where your shoulder meets your chest. Okay, again, when you're happy with that side, you can come on up and switch to the other side. Okay, so for the last set, we're going to go ahead and move on to kind of the rest of the shoulder, the rest of the upper arm, and we're going to work on the triceps and biceps, which are the muscles on the front of your arm and on the back of your arm. So what you want to do for that is go ahead and position yourself in front of your foam roller, and then go ahead and put your forearm onto your foam roller, and then just go ahead and lean back and forth. Okay? And for this one, basically all we're going to do is we're going to start with our arm or a palm tilted upwards, and then rotate our hand until it's tilted downwards. Okay, and again, you can repeat this as much as you would like for any areas that are more uncomfortable than others. You want to make sure again that you're getting all the way up to the shoulder and all the way down to the elbow without actually going across any of those joints. Okay, you don't want to foam roll over any of those joint spaces. Okay, and when you're happy with that, you can come up and go ahead and switch to the other side. So thank you guys for watching. Again, if you were in class, I really appreciate you being there. I hope you had fun, and I hope you learned something. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this class and you're looking for more ways to empower yourself to live a happier lifestyle, I invite you to visit our homepage on our website to download our free ebook. It has some really helpful tips on improving different aspects of your lifestyle, and I hope that you're able to gain some use from it and apply some of the things in the book to help you again live a happier and healthier lifestyle. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call or email me, and I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again for watching.